today's guest has built an online tool to help loved ones, professionals, and carers navigate the journey when someone is diagnosed with dementia. And then his own mother used this same tool to help his grandmother through to the end. So this man is pretty incredible and has given back to society, and thought it'd be a very good chat for us to have. So I'm Angie from My Bodyguard. Let me introduce you to Nan Yu from My Dementia Companion. Welcome.
Thank you, Angie, for having us and giving us a voice to share our mission to guide people living with dementia, their carers and professionals too, through that very complicated and complex journey.
And it is, and all the different stages. Now, I'm very sorry to hear that you lost your grandma just recently. My heart goes out to you. I'm sure it's very raw still.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Angie. It has been pretty hard, even though I guess we sort of knew what to do, quote unquote, because of our work with My Dementia Companion you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I just could imagine how hard it is for so many people out there who are just very lost and don't know what to do
Don't know
on
what
this
to do.
confusing journey. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So creating and building a business like My Dementia Companion, you were certainly, well, it certainly would have had its ups and downs and been a really hard project. But I suppose now that the family has used it to actually step you through, I bet it's made it more, I don't know, more real. And I bet you've got your mum's blessing now for what you do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that definitely was, it was very hard and it started out as a passion project just because family and friends and so many people been gone through it. But it definitely has been a very hard thing to go through. You started your own business as well, and it's almost traumatizing as well to a degree.
Yes.
Uh, Particularly this space, so
Yeah.
many challenges, this sector with such significant market failure and some very interesting sort of stakeholder dynamics as well. I definitely thought about giving up many times, and I guess the question is, why am I doing this? And with all the
Yeah.
challenging times, I guess I just found my why again, leading up to grandma's passing, and when mum very emotionally one day said, because we did have a conversation about what we're going to do, and she said, it doesn't really matter what happened to my dementia companion, what had helped her and subsequently the whole family on how to sort of support grandma with a lot of dignity going forward and managing a lot of the practical sort of changes in behaviors and everything, how to communicate with her, all those things made the world of difference. And definitely her quality of life towards the end through that journey was significantly better because of it. And she said, it still hits me a little bit when she said, it really doesn't really matter what happened because, what it was able to help us is more than enough. And thinking, which was really, really big moment. And also subsequently, I think we've been getting a lot of feedback too. And we're not very good, because we're a passion project. We don't really promote ourselves as much, and we should. And we're getting feedback all the time. And most recently, we had a wife and carer who emailed us out of nowhere, letting us know that how much we had helped her along her journey with her husband. And she didn't have to do that, of course, right? Her husband
No.
actually passed away. So he
Oh.
passed away, and she actually emailed us to thank us and how it had helped her and prompting her along that journey, knowing what to do. So it's really very heartwarming. So, finding those whys and those
And
emotional connections. Yeah,
remembering those whys, because I
yeah,
know this is not your full-time gig. This
yeah.
is, as you say, your passion project or your second job or whatever. So you really need to have that passion or the why in the back of your mind when you are so exhausted and you're just doing a billion things a day, back-to-back meetings, pushing this because you know that it's needed. These
Mm.
stages are complicated, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, more, I think, yeah, complicated is kind of the best way you can use it. It's much more than that, isn't it? Which you
It
speak to a lot
is,
of.
but
Yeah,
yeah, and different for everyone as well.
yeah,
Now, I know that you've done volunteering from a very young age, and I
yeah.
think people who volunteer often it shows that character or that little bit of selflessness and things like that. Because it's interesting because the people that volunteer are generally the same people over and over again. So you'll get that one person that volunteers here and they volunteer there and then they do this or something like that. So I suppose my question, and also might add, you being a man, not that it's less, but a young man that we've got into volunteering young is a little bit more unusual and impressive. So do your parents Do they volunteer? Were they in aged care? Obviously there's some good heart genetics coming through, but I just wanted to know what makes you volunteer. How did you start off doing that?
Yeah, I think probably a bit of combination of the genetics and how I was brought up. I think I was brought up with a very strong sense of social obligation. Just, I think mum, she worked in health policy and health management to advance sort of healthcare in Asia.
Yep.
So I sort of saw that growing up and the need and what we can do. And also through school, I was involved in quite a lot of volunteering programs, which I think is very good. I think all kids should at least, try and do as much as
Absolutely.
they can. And also on top of that, I think as a first generation migrant, it was, it's very tough setting up roots here back in the day as well. Now probably more,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
accepting, but back then it was very hard, and we had a lot of help from a lot of people on our journey as well. So very grateful for that. So, when there's opportunity to give back to people who need it, it's always front of mind. And I think being that, when you talk about being the young man part of it, I think being, only child, as you with your son too, we talked about
Yes,
just before.
I've got an only child as well. Yes.
Yeah, growing up, single mum, you have to grow up quite quickly as well, being a migrant, tying into that. So the tendency of being sort of the older young man earlier,
Yes.
take up those responsibilities, you see a lot more, and those social obligation, the conscious around helping people, I think definitely comes in a lot more. So if you can, yeah, definitely give back and show kindness to other people, because the world and life is tough. As I getting older and more things I experience and see, I
Yeah.
used the word traumatizing before. Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
it is.
traumatized, tough,
It is.
complicated,
Yeah.
and then you add like a diagnosis like living with, dementia or something like that. And also migrant. Again, it's another separate journey that your family actually had to go through. But I love the social obligation. I absolutely love that. And I first volunteered was Meals on Wheels and had to do it at school. I can't remember what year it was, year 8 or something like that. And I loved it. And that was actually the start of my journey. And I just went, I want to continue. It made me feel good.
Yeah.
I love talking to older people. So you're right. I love the social obligation and giving back. I think is pretty important too. My favorite, I've done lots of different volunteering over the years. I did Big Brother, Big Sister, where they match you with a 13-year-old girl who needed a big sister influence. I've done things like that. But my favorite was Friends of Older People. So I would go aged care and I'd sit and talk to the older person that they'd matched me with. And it was the last one, Marjorie. She saw me through getting married, being pregnant,
Wow.
having Luke, and I'd bring in the little bundle of joy, and the whole aged care just lit up with this little child coming in, and they all sort of
Oh,
considered themselves grandparents to him. So
yeah.
I'm getting a bit, it was just, yeah. So you get a lot out of it, even though it's time consuming, it's hard, it could be really emotional. You're doing so many things yourself on top of that. Did you feel that? That sometimes you've got to hold to that why you said?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, it is about making a world a better place, and you feel like you are sort of making that difference. But yeah, definitely can be hard, isn't it? I think sort of before I get onto the why bit, I think for anybody out there who wants to do volunteering, highly recommend it. But yes, sort of start with the why, why you want to do it. And I think if people do want to do it just for the resume or for the connection, for the stimulation, go for it too. There's nothing wrong with that. I think just be honest with yourself and honest with
Why are you
the
doing it?
other person as well.
Yeah.
So you both can fill both of your cups, like what you were saying before, to get something out of it that benefits everybody. And I think the key thing also is it's never about what you do quite often, right? It's always about who you are. Right now, you didn't talk about the example you gave wasn't really about what you did. It was about who you've connected with and those emotions and experiences. And for me, that it's the same. That's what I would recommend too, is find the people that you really connect with, that you can support each other, fill each other's soul up. My volunteering work with Caledania is amazing. Like, it was tough. It's reform, funding uncertainties, the stigma, and the
Yeah.
challenge, everything, we already know from the Royal Commission around the aged care and dementia space.
Yeah.
But walking to that room with Sarah, the CEO, the chair, and some amazing stuff, it just makes it easier.
Mm.
So coming back to your question about the emotion, yeah, definitely it's hard. The twilight years, putting dementia on top of it makes everything
Next
particularly,
level.
you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but having the right support network around you
Mm.
make the biggest difference. And same thing with dementia, right? It's all about the carers, the families, the professionals who can wrap around the person through that
Wrap you
journey.
in that. Yes.
I mean, that's really, really important. That's how you manage
Yeah.
the emotional roller coaster ride, the stress and everything else that goes with it. And it's still worthwhile. Again, you just have the right people and your why to go with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's really hard to fit in, or sometimes
Yeah.
you're not in the right mood when you start out. But honestly, generally, you come out and there's a satisfaction. There's
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're not ready, that's fine. Take your time. You're not forced to do anything. Do it when you're ready and when you have your why, have a good fit. Definitely, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
and
really
find the one
important.
that resonates as much as it does to you. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now, you're in the right space to be the perfect person to answer this question. My question to you is, what needs to happen to create a more world? What do you think?
It's like a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
literally, dementia costs how many billions a year? It is a multi-billion-dollar question.
Yeah.
I can definitely share some of my thoughts, which I think a lot you probably resonate with as well, just from your experience. But none of these is, of course, evidence-based or research-based or anything like that. Just my experience. I think to start with, I think we definitely need a core group, the core dementia group or core aged care group to work better together,
Yeah.
more collegial. And that includes, government agencies, departments, PIC bodies, for-profit, not-for-profit providers in the aged care, disability, health space, as well as, involving, of course, people living with dementia, their carers, and those who support them. Because I think with all the issue that we have at the moment, if us, the core group of people, sort of are not aligned, not all hands on deck, supporting each other,
Yeah.
understand every organization, everybody have their own agendas, but if we're sort of not aligning majority part of it, I think it'd be very difficult to bring
Mm.
the rest of the community with us to
Right.
create that dementia friendly world, right? Because why would anybody buy into your mission if
Yes,
you're
if
yourself
you're not
isn't?
on the same
Yeah,
page. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think for me, that definitely is the number one thing. And perfect example, I come from a pharmaceuticals, a commercial side of the things. And classic example of small pharmaceutical companies who have a great innovative product, and then you've got a big pharmaceutical company with the biggest distribution network, and they really know how to commercialize a product.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
them partner up is definitely going to reach more patients and help more patients then. And I'm not saying this is the case necessarily in dementia, but I think the more the collegial work, alignment between different stakeholders, we can definitely achieve more. That classic 1+1, we can get two out, three, more than
Three.
two,
That's
three,
right. Yeah.
three out of that. And just on that commercial element, which is really interesting because I guess, you and I both, that's how we met. We met at the Decoding Dementia Innovation Award competition and supposed to create a startup, promote startups that really, change dementia care. And I think we have definitely to a degree
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah.
But I think one of the other challenges to overcome the barrier is creating that market that drives innovation or the environment.
Yes.
It is a bit of a catch-22. I was thinking about this the other day because, where a lot of things are free in this space, and it creates the expectation everything is free and government funded. And government wants a self-sustaining, competitive, free market. But that's very hard to do when there isn't one and there is no incentive and no promotion to create one when, I think things need to be funded because there's a
Absolutely.
big market failure.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a way where we, again, collegially sort of come together and go, okay, how can we create an environment where we can create those innovations to help people, incentivize people to come in and create those innovations. And when
Yeah.
I say innovation, I don't mean technology, I don't mean create an app or anything. It's just different way of supporting people.
Yeah.
Because only then we're moving forward. Because you look at all the other industries, they're moving leaps and bounds going forward. For us, we're still having the same problem that Royal Commission we had, a lot of similar findings to the one before that. So how do we make the world more dementia friendly and improve? That's a big part of it, that innovation, improvement.
Yeah.
And very clearly is tied to that is, companies or ideas don't create innovations, the people, again, going back to the
The
people,
people,
talk about
back to the
innovation. Yeah.
people. Yeah.
And we have the biggest workforce issues right now, don't we? It was before COVID, even. It's worse since
Yeah.
COVID.
Mhm.
And how do we attract and retain those talent to come into the core to make things better so that they can go out there and make the world better,
Mhm.
you know? And I think that if the core group isn't working well, if there is no incentive for people to come in and create those amazing things, because not everybody's like me who's juggling all these things to try to make a difference
No,
pro bono.
no.
It'd be very hard to get the workforce together to make that difference for us when we get older, for our children, grandchildren going forward as well. So the last thing you want is kind of another Royal Commission. There's
No,
going to be another very similar findings out there.
agree.
So yeah, having us working together and bring everybody up with us is yeah,
And I think the older we get, the more important it becomes to us.
yeah,
Or if you see a loved one going through it. So
yeah,
with our aging parents and things like that, it sort of really does smack you in the face. You actually work out, hang on, this isn't working, or we need help
mm,
here, or I didn't understand this was going to be so hard. Yeah, I agree. And you
exactly.
tapped on to where we met. So, yes, so my dementia companion has done pretty well for itself, actually. It's won a couple of prestigious awards. As you said, we met at Deloitte's Decoding Dementia in 2019, I think it was.
End of 19, yeah, yep.
Yeah, yeah. And you won. So
Thank
well
you, thank
done,
you.
well done.
Lucky, we got lucky, got lucky.
Oh no! Look, no, worthy winner, worthy winner. But you've just won another one as well. So I'm going to read this. It's What's the Future of Aging Awards in Dementia Care. Now that's a huge compliment and credit to you. And I know, I believe, I can see why. And you're allowed to brag here, okay, Nan? Why do you think the company won this one? And what do you think the judges said? Actually, that's the winning one.
Thank you. Yeah, so definitely we're very lucky to have been awarded the Future of Aging Award because we definitely thought one of the other big organizations won it. Definitely not very good about bragging ourselves, but I'll brag the team.
No, you're allowed. This is a
Yeah,
safe space, okay,
yeah.
Nan? Safe space.
Definitely a big shout out to the team. Mum, who's on the team, one of the volunteers, Sarah, Suzanne, Deb, Adrian, Victoria, John, Glenn, Julie, and all the carers who helped us really co-design everything from day one. When we
Yes,
first met,
yeah,
back then it was just an idea.
yeah.
And I think since then, of course, we learned a lot. We improved a lot by listening to all the stakeholders and families and people living with dementia. I think there's definitely a few key themes that sort of came out that I think probably help us to win in the first place, maybe. And also having this great feedback from families that I mentioned before as well. The number one thing I think is definitely we're solving a problem that they all face
Yeah,
on a sort of daily basis.
yeah.
And that is really breaking down something that is complicated as dementia into something that's bite-sized to guide
Bite
them
size,
through it.
yes, true.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think that's definitely something quite special because again we're getting testimonials and feedback from families who say, "Oh my god, it's just so overwhelming and lost," and being able to have something that's got in one place, guiding me through things I don't even know that I need is
yeah,
quite helpful. Just that empowerment piece to
yeah,
so they can digest it and be able to do something.
yeah.
The other element which came through, I think, and recently we presented at the National Dementia Conference actually, and
Wow.
one of the was on stage with a real carer, presenting together. That was quite
Yes,
a great
congratulations.
moment.
How
Thank you.
amazing.
So Mark, who supports Dot, who's living with dementia, she loved the fact that the tool is personalized for her, and that's in a number of ways. So because at the moment, when you try to find what you got to do with dementia, you go online. There's heaps of stuff, and you just get overwhelmed,
Yeah,
especially if you're a busy carer. The tool kind of personalized, ask you questions like, where do you live? Do you drive? If you don't, we give you specific resources and guidance based on your response. So she really liked that because she's not over inundated. But on top of that, little things like the tool personalizes your name.
hmm,
And that alone to a carer emotionally makes a huge difference. Just to because when she reads the content, when she's guided through it, just goes, oh wow, somebody's actually care about me and Dot. So that personal connection
yeah,
seemed to be quite helpful for her, and also tracking her personalized journey. Ticking that off, going through that journey is for her feels like a progress because otherwise it's a bit of a groundhog day sometimes. Dementia can get really tough. So be able to sort of have something to guide her, she definitely said it was quite helpful.
mm,
And I think another reason probably why people really like it or why we won is the practicality of it. We have a really good feedback from one of the carers. I think he's an engineer in Queensland, working in one of the mines. So a very smart person. His wife's got dementia, and he's done all the training out there. Probably done more training than you and I have with dementia. He says, "Great, I learned a lot about lots of things, but they're very academic and theoretical, very interesting. But
Not
like, what do I
layman's
actually do?"
terms. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do when he goes home, sit in front of his wife to help her. So
Mm.
he found the practicality of My Dementia Companion very helpful, like putting signages up, on cupboards and around the house, modifying his home to make it more dementia friendly. Instead of using My Dementia Companion, he actually signed up to respite for himself. He actually accepted help from his family and his wife's family, which he didn't before.
Yeah.
Those really practical things is what I think makes difference for people, and that's kind of our why,
Yeah.
as well as a product or as a company or as a startup. What we try to do is really make meaningful impact in people's lives day in day out.
Yeah.
Um, because otherwise, yeah, it is in those day in day out, those late nights, weekends when there's hard to find people to help you. What
Mm.
can you do? Like, what do you do? How do you also set you up for success in the early stages? So again, all the challenges is not as bad further down the track. So that's kind of what I think make a difference for us. Like, we're stuck to our why, and has been pretty much the same since day one, where we stood
Yeah.
up there and at Decoding Dementia and said we really want to guide people through that
This is
journey and being
why
as
this, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
different way of doing it. But yeah, if you stuck to it, I think you'll get there.
Yeah. It was interesting when you said, because what you're doing is you're putting them, like you're giving them the information, but it's not just information everywhere. It's
Yeah,
actually
just dump it. No, that's not what they want.
step of path. Because when we have, so we, as you know, help people living with dementia, because we're giving them with GPS tracking some safe independence, or the family can actually know and not panic all the time, because we get calls when it might be, my dad's just been diagnosed with dementia, and you can just
Mm.
hear the pain, the hurt, the confusion, the scared voice from that person.
Yeah.
Or it might be that they'll say, oh, mum's been missing, went
Mm.
missing for 3 hours, the police were involved, we thought she was dead, we can't go through that again. So by them having, say, one of our watches, they can check where they are. If
Yeah.
they've got it early enough, they might be able to use the SOS. But if these elderly people can still have a little bit of dignity,
Mm.
still go for their walks or go to the park or go and get the
Mm.
newspaper, whatever their norm was, for as long as possible. And I
Mm.
think that's what this guide is doing, is it's that step by
Yeah.
step. If they're at this stage, this is what you do. And then we'll get to
Yeah.
this stage, which is a little bit different. My first interview for this podcast was with Anita from Living on the Spectrum. And she just designed she has 2 kids on the spectrum, designed a directory because she needed products and services that she knew she needed that everyone else would
Mm.
need. But it's a directory. Whereas with this, it's that this step and this
Mm.
guide. So it's a little bit different. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think just quickly touch on two things. Is that the guide is also helpful because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Because we do guide people to say things like there are tools, equipment, and aids such as trackers and GPS sensors, etc., that can help you. But people don't know. You know what I mean? Like they
They
don't know
don't
that's
know
the
if they
thing.
don't know. So
Yeah,
many
same
people will
as
say, I didn't know that was possible. When I say, oh, you can get a
yeah,
geofence, they go, can you? Because
yeah.
you don't need it. You don't need to know about it.
Yeah, same as things like memory aids, signages, communication techniques. It's not something you Google every day. You can, you need to have the right word to even find it. So the idea of guiding people through that is to help them put things into place that they help them with what they don't know.
Yeah.
And the other thing also with that is that the equipments are very helpful. Like what you guys are doing is very, very helpful. There's also another side to it, which is also people often neglect and we sort of pretty hard on as well. We try to tell people a lot about is, okay, how do you actually manage whether it's the walking about slash wandering or the falls in the first place? How do you minimize those? Because
Yeah.
it's very important to have a falls alarm or tracking after they've got
Automatic
lost,
fall detection.
after
Yep.
a fall.
Yep.
But how do you, and you need that as an insurance policy, but how do you actually prevent it in the first place? What are the strategies? And that's what we really want to promote in the tool as well, is like in this part of the journey, falls prevention should be a thing. Don't wait until you have a fall. Quite often that's the
Just
trigger,
try and,
but
yes,
do it
get rid of
before, you know?
steps and have something to
Yeah,
hold on to and good lighting and all these
etc.
sorts of
Yeah.
things to actually prevent it in the
Yeah,
first
same as
place.
the walking about and getting lost example. How do you
Mm,
prevent that? Once they are lost, you need to deal with that for sure, like you said. But what can we do to make sure that's safe? Walking about is safe for them, you know?
mm,
That's really important. And that's why I think that guidance is because,
yeah.
you know, if it's just reactive and not proactive,
Mm,
it's high risk that the outcome is not
not
going to
as
be as
good.
great.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right. So this has been good. How, if people want more information, how do they best find My Dementia Companion?
Very easy. So you can either search My Dementia Companion or go to www.mydementiacompanion.com.au. You
It is
can go on our
.au.
website and learn
Great.
about us.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, that's
And
perfect.
then, yep, and then there'll be a big orange launch tool button. So if you click on that, you will go into the tool. You can use it on your mobile, tablet, or computer. Most people tell us they use on the computer.
Yeah.
Create an account. Account is really important because that's what we're saying, how it personalizes your journey and tracks your journey so you can save your progress through that. You have 6-day free trial for the Carer tool, and if professional want to use it, a 30-day for the Pro tool, which is something different. No
Perfect.
credit card is needed. So you can definitely have a go. And we also recently had the endorsement from the Department of Health to say the Carer tool could be funded under the home care package as well, which is really, really great because that just removes another
Fantastic.
barrier. It's
Yeah.
very, very cheap, very, very affordable, but that still removes a barrier
Oh, that's
as well.
lovely.
And anybody want to have any questions, of course, reach out to us on our
Perfect.
website if
I'm
you're a
sure they
dementia
will.
alliance.
But honestly, Nan, thank you. Thank you for taking the time today. And I know this is not in your normal wheelhouse either. So
No, no, good
do
experience.
I do appreciate it. Look, very impressed with your generosity, your commitment, to helping and all the extra time and effort on top of everything else that you do. But you know what? The world is a better place because of you. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for the platform and the opportunity.
Thanks, Nan.